This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler and Agins, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
Don't get too excited. I'm not going to be better than that. So, all right. But last night, Obama gave his last final State of the Union address, and he took a moment to pause from his usual blah 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 to talk about the political environment here and to the U.S. and specifically a call to action to the voters to rise up and vote against money in politics, which couldn't be more timely because that's what Regage does. Right now, there is zero accountability. Just look at I-77, especially at the local level. It's not good. There's zero citizen pressure to performance on our elected officials, and there's too much information out there. There's too much stuff to know for you guys as the voters to actually vote on the people that you want in office based on what you care about. And that's what Regage does. It's an online platform for you to support the issues that you care about and not worry about all the other BS. And essentially, that's it. Well, okay, so it's an opportunity for you as a voter to support the issues. I'm just going to skip that. So Regage is working on becoming a 501c4, which means that we can spend a limited amount of money on lobbying and a sizable chunk on political expenditures like electioneering to get people elected. And the way it works is that you will go on and support an issue or stance on an issue like you want gun control. And what we do, we'll take your support, whether it's an contribution like it's a volunteer efforts, Facebook like, or a monetary contribution, and we'll direct that to the best way we can to make sure gun control is controlled. And usually what that means is that we'll do a legislative lobbying. And that way you can hold your elected officials accountable, and they don't just screw you and just keep getting in office. Yeah, and the way that Idea Fund or other business would benefit from that is that it's a collective influence on legislative matters, so they can get cryptocurrency, drone stuff, and their favorite passed. So, thank you.
So your business or your company is a 501c4, so I really don't feel qualified necessarily to speak about how to best move forward or not-for-profit. But I will tell you that my question would be the same if it was a for-profit entity, which would be, how is this different than other initiatives, other websites that do similar things? I think I was trying to figure out what's unique. The goal and the purpose is great, but there's a lot of attempts to do something similar, and either your approach or your process, I think you didn't speak enough probably about the uniqueness or the differentiation in what you do.
Right, yeah, so the first part that I just kind of screwed up, that would have kind of touched base on it, and then I was kind of expecting you to ask that. But so competitor-wise would be like, there's a company in Atlanta that's called Memmer. What they are, they're LLC, and they work like as an Indiegogo for politics, so they bring in these advocacy groups, politicians and whatnot, and you contribute money to them. But our organizational structure is a lot different, so we just cut out half of the operations by being a 501c4, by doing all the lobbying ourselves and just taking that money and giving it to advocacy groups and telling them what to do and whatnot. So we do that on our end, so we just cut out the sales leads that it takes to acquire and get those people on the platform. So we just target our marketing to the customer, to the individual, and to the business without having to worry about getting them on platform and write down or whatever. So, and that doesn't exist. I mean, I've done too much research, honestly. So yeah, so that's kind of where we differentiate, and it's a new organizational structure. It's just now become legal, so, and we're trying to utilize that. So.
Well, a couple of things. So first of all, congratulations for standing up here and giving us a shot. You're obviously nervous. Oh, yeah. And probably everyone in the room can empathize with what that feels like. So, you stood up, you gave it a shot, you kept going, and good job hanging in there. I kind of would build on what Lister was talking about. I was really, so first of all, holding politicians accountable. There's probably no one in the room that doesn't believe there's room for improvement on that one. So raison d'etre, you're going after an important problem, an important issue. But I really couldn't quite get my arms around how it would work. In other words, So there's a platform, and then there's going to be some lobbying, and obviously some effort, I suppose, to identify commitments or statements that politicians had made on positions that they would take, and whether their votes are actually in alignment with those positions. And so I think you actually probably had some extra time, even within the 2 minutes. And you probably can pick up a pattern. I'm always trying to understand how the process actually works, because I think there is a question of viability and sustainability and, frankly, profitability when you actually dig into how is this going to work really. So maybe just at a high level, because you still have, how does it work, right? Inputs, synthesis, outputs, effect.
Right. So I'll try to use an example with that. Like, let's say you care about the environment, you want, a good environment, you want trees and all that kind of stuff. So what you say, you give it to the environment, so we protect the environment. So what we'll do, we'll go out to all the different environment, political action committees, advocacy groups, and we talk to them, say, okay, hey, we got this much money to spend on environment. It's collectively sourced, all that kind of stuff, and we get information about, okay, which politicians are doing the best job here in North Carolina and Washington, D.C. We'll get that information to you. We also tell them, it's like, okay, well, there's this bill coming up. We don't want this new concrete plant to be built in just north of like Winston-Salem, or Wilmington, yeah. And so we tell them, okay, no, don't do that. You tell these politicians, don't do that. Here's, $25,000. Boom. Okay, so that's how you kind of get the impact there. And then so we'll build up from the value chain, go and get lobbyists in and start building that relationship more and more. So we get closer and closer and closer to the actual politicians themselves and make sure that they're accountable and establish that personal relationship as we scale. So
I don't know. It sounds to me that one way to think about it as a voter, I guess, is politicians are asking money usually around election time to get elected. And what you're doing is changing the way that works, which is rather than giving the money to the politician, you give the money to the issue. And then you're in charge of working with the politicians to say, here's the money. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is that, like, okay, when you vote, okay, right now in America you choose between, red or blue. And essentially that person's not going to represent every single thing you care about. So if you give to the issues, what we can do is like take that money that you would give to a candidate and just specialize it and make sure it's effectively used. So you're not just giving, $1,000 to Donald Trump. You're giving, 500 here, 500 there, maybe 25.
That makes sense to me. Again, I would say if this is a 2-minute pitch, that is to me the essence of what you're trying to do, the differentiation. And it's just a matter of how you present it that makes an impact or not. And then the other point I'll make before we let the audience ask questions is if you have prepared a 2-minute pitch and you practice a lot, and if you're going through the speech and then you forget something, sometimes it's best, especially if it's a 2-minute pitch, to just not even try to remember what you're saying. I mean, you were so much more comfortable when you were just speaking from what you know, and not even trying to remember, that you can see how much it's much more effective that way. Right. Just not even try to remember what you said. Just move on and speak from what you know.
Yeah, that's good advice. I totally agree with that. That's what I tried to do, and I guess I finally got through it, so that's good.
We've got a question from the audience. Ryan? Are you going to curate the issues that you work on, and is there an ideological bent where if Nick were to send you $100 and say he wants gun control, and I were to send you $100 and I say I don't want gun control, are you going to work both sides of the issue?
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't care. I'm not going to sit there and try to get in the middle of it. I just want you guys to participate, honestly. So I'll go to both lobbyists and say, okay, hey, we got $100 for gun control and no gun control. And then give you guys both the information so you know what's going on and work for both of you guys. Because it's not, I'm not here to choose a side, because that just plays into the problem and not fixes it. So.
I think to play devil's advocate on that, I'm just curious, how will you remove your own bias, given that you manage the platform?
You just have to work by organizational bylaws. You can't like get involved in it. For me, my personal bias is that I don't want to get in your way to do it. So I want you to be involved. So just kind of preach that mantra and then inspire everybody that does work with me to take that on and carry it on the legacy, I guess, as an employee. So.
In the grand scheme of things, who's to say that the concrete plant is
Mm-hmm.
that we need to support? And how do I, as a customer, know that?
Right. Well, first of all, I don't want you view yourself as a customer. You're a citizen doing your citizen duty. But yeah, so what we do is go to advocacy groups that do this like day and night. This is what they care about is the environment, and they sit there and look at concrete plant that's going to harm fishes, water, air quality, all that kind of stuff. And then we also go to people that represent the environment or the concrete plant and say, okay, why do you want to do this, and how will it not harm the economy, or I mean not economy, environment, and then present whatever they present, give them both to you, and you can decide. For us, it doesn't matter. But if you give us money, we're going to back whichever one you give us money to. So yeah.
It sounds like a bit of a precarious situation if you agree to lobby for both sides, the blue and red. Why am I giving you $100 where my $100 will be canceled by another $100?
We'll spend more.
Contribute to you. For the other side. If I'm a customer, I won't feel comfortable about that.
Right. So I mean, you just kind of have to understand that we're going to be 100% trustworthy. That we're not sitting there trying to play both sides for any other alternative motive. That you're giving $100, it's going to go to the same people you'd give $100 to anyone else that would say, "Here, we're protecting the environment." So your $100 is just we're a way to reach you, like the individual people, like Facebook would reach you, and then they give you ads and stuff. So essentially the same thing, but it's just the same $100 no matter what you do. Mm-hmm.
Does Regage need more money to build out your capabilities?
Yeah, so we're developing the 501c4, so that takes like a whole crap load of legal work, and right now I'm doing the legal work, and it's like shitty legal work. So that's kind of where we're at.
Do you know how much you need?
So I'd like to get professional legal work would be like 5 to 10 grand. Marketing needs would be another 10 grand if you want to be super effective. But you can obviously have developed like free way to do it and then scale with money. So it'd be like 2025 to be comfortable to go through 2016 just as test market, see how effective we can be, what marketing strategies work, what customer segments are there, and then really propel that into 2018, 2020.
When you hear about lobbying, people say lobbying.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot.
The sales pitch, in my opinion, what got me eventually from your conversation is that now lobbying is good, and it's you're allowing individuals the ability to
Right.
have power.
Yes.
That's a good way to see it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Look, all these things that you guys keep saying that I should be saying was in that little part that I screwed up, just so you know. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. So yeah, essentially what I say is like, it's like using the same tools that big money uses to influence lobbying, whatever. So like if every American gave $10 to their most passionate issue, you could outspend the entire lobbying combined in 2014.
It took me the entire time, I'm not very quick, to this statement. And I
Well,
think if you
I'm
said
just
it
glad
at the
you got
beginning,
there.
Yeah, if you said it in the beginning, that would have set the tone.
Yeah.
And maybe changed lobbying from bad to good.
Right, and that.
Lobbying and crowdsourcing.
Right, yeah, exactly. So it's pretty much taking lobbying, the power of lobbying that the corporations, big money, all that uses, and put it in all of your guys' hands. So you can use it, and I just facilitate that. So yeah.
All right.
All right.